Hey, what's up? So this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a little while. It's been on my mind a lot. A lot of things have. Thinking back to mistakes I've made, decisions I made without realizing, just specifically related to this topic. Like I never intended to be an influence type of thing. Like I never wanted to be, but I realize now that no matter what, um, influence is passive. It's passive. The things we say and the things we do, they passively, lead by example, basically. Um, so it can be problematic when, like for me, if I'm angry and I'm speaking out of that mentality and such, then it would be different than if I were to have expressed myself without being angry. They're different things. I would say things differently, that kind of a thing, and whatever. But anyways, yeah. So something I've thought about this for a while now too, especially after the past few years, everything I experienced in the past few years. Um, Realizing everything else, thinking back to before, years before the past few, bunch of craziness about the mistakes I've made and the things I've done and said without realizing it, not on purpose, unintentionally. And I'll give an example. So, Discord, for it, just my Discord channel, having people in there, I had content in there that I wasn't censoring, that I wasn't thinking about as far as like children having access to it. Mostly because I don't expect children to. I wouldn't expect children to show up in my Twitch streams or my YouTube videos, and my Discord. I'm not planning for kids to come in. Um, so I just never really gave it much thought. And I do think back to one of my buddies back, some years back, had mentioned something like that. He's like, you just allow this content in here and a kid could see it. And I didn't care at the time because I was like, well, if you don't want your kid on the internet, keep them off the internet. That's up to the parent, And not to be a jerk or anything, but that was my mentality. And that now I think about it, I'm like, oh man, yeah, I really should have listened to what he said back then, Because again, like I wasn't. It was just dumb of me, is all. Mistakes were made. Another thing I always remember back to is having met a kid on Twitch, Colin. One thing it's been weird when I got into Twitch streaming and such, was being a gamer. Even when I was a kid, and I would meet people older than myself, I met people in their 20s and 30s when I was very young, because gaming is all ages, man. Um, so I just never gave it much thought, as far as the age difference and how to act and whatever with that kind of a thing. I've for a long time I've told people, like, I see kids as people, right? Just people. Now after the past few years and witnessing what influence can do, it's cringe, man. It's cringe. I'm like, oh crap! It really is too easy to influence people, even when you don't want to, even if you don't mean to, even if you're not trying to. You lead by example. Yeah, what a mess. Um, so, but I've always thought of kids as people. Even when I was a kid, I remember how old I was. I was a teenager at the time, and my mom had multiple times throughout my life, even up until like 16 and stuff, would tell me stuff like I was good with kids. Because I forgot, like even in elementary school, I was helping people younger than myself in classrooms and classes and stuff, and I forget why. A teacher set me up for it, like a TA type of thing. It was weird. It was weird. I only did it because they just asked me to. But for example, like when I was in sixth grade, I would read books to the younger kids. I don't remember which grade they were in, maybe third or whatever. But I would read children's books to them because the teacher asked me to. And apparently, I was just good with kids, just generally. That's what I was told a bunch. Even the teachers told me that, but I never realized what they meant. Because I wasn't trying to be. Wasn't trying to be, man. They were just whatever. Man, it hurts my brain and my heart for how poorly I've been. But I've always thought of younger people as just people, well, before I did anyways. Now I'm like, like I still think the same. I still think that they are people because they are people, and a lot of times, you might have heard this before. A lot of times, kids are smarter than adults. They haven't been brainwashed fully yet. They haven't. A lot of influence hasn't been. So they think for themselves and they're learning and stuff, and they will question you and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, so I've always just thought of them as people. But now I'm like I still see them as people, but now I have to force myself to think about the things that I'm saying. I don't for a long time. What happened was I forgot. What happened was in high school, up until high school, uh, I had put on a persona, and this is another thing I didn't realize. I forgot because it's been so long since I've had a persona. Ever. I was like 18. I have not had a persona since then. I say what I think. I say what I feel. That's it. Not hide nothing. Um, I've been me. Like there is no fake me. And lately I've been thinking about making a fake me. I'm like, I don't want to, but I feel the need to now. I do feel the need to, which is messed up. But I had put on a persona since a really young age, and then in high school, I just got sick and tired of pretending. I got sick and tired of pretending. I got sick and tired of lying to people. I got sick and tired of acting like somebody I wasn't. So I just stopped. I stopped. And it was funny to me to think about that because I was just talking to my sister about this earlier tonight. We were just talking, and that came up. We were talking about personas, and I was like, yeah, I haven't, I don't have one. I don't have a fake face that I put on. You know, I have different emotions. Sometimes I'll be in angry mode. Sometimes I'll be in sad mode. Whatever. But I'm not putting on an act. I'm just in a different mood. Like I'm moody, but I'm not putting on an act, kind of a thing. So it's weird. Something's been driving me nuts. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I'm like, everybody's fake. Everybody's a liar. They lie to themselves and they lie to everybody around them. And I'm just like, what? I didn't know it was so normal. I've heard about it. I've seen people talk about it, but I didn't realize it's like everybody. It's everybody. Everybody's so fake, man. Huh. Anyways, I don't remember what made me think of that, but yeah. So now I think back to the things that I said around younger people, the way that I acted, and just being me. Like I just again, not hiding anything, just outright, just what I think, what I feel. That's it. Not worried about what somebody's gonna think about it. Not worried about what kind of influence it might have. Because I'm not trying to influence people. I'm just speaking my mind. That's it, man. I'm not trying to make other people think the same way. I'm not trying to, whatever. Um, but now I realize that there's just so much I said and did that was wrong. It was not on purpose. But so I've had this on my mind for a while. Just yeah, it reminds me of Colin. This cool kid I met on Twitch calling, and I didn't know how old he was. I don't remember when he told me how old he was. Might have been a year, might have been 2 or 4 years, I don't remember. But at some point, after I had already gotten to know him a little bit, like he was a regular, I'd known him for a while. And he was just this cool dude that hung out in my stream and stuff. And then one day he said, hey, yeah, I was 11 years old when I first came to your stream. And I was like, what? Because there's no way I would have ever known just via text. Just text. Just chatting. He was just a cool dude. Just a cool dude. So it was weird to find that out. And he wasn't the first one, or he wasn't the only one ever found that out about. You know, most people that come into your stream, most people that go into streams don't just go in and type, I'm this years old. Some do. It's really weird. It's like, why are you just coming into a channel and saying your age? I think it makes more sense now to me, now that I care, now that I have to think about that, now I'm like, I don't want to have to change who I am and the way I express myself just based on somebody's age, kind of a thing. But it does make sense. It does make sense now. I don't like it. But I have regrets, you know, realizing that I could have done things better, differently, had I thought about that a lot sooner. But I also didn't realize I didn't realize how messed up everything was, man. I didn't realize how easily influenced we are, how brainwashed we are as a society, as a whole, and, you know, whatever. You want to think, like, people will think they're not brainwashed, but those people that think they're not brainwashed will tell you to vote for Trump, you know, or vote for whoever. Anybody telling you who to vote is brainwashed. They might not be brainwashed in this section over here, but they certainly are over there. And it's the same for all of us. It doesn't, you know, whatever. Not trying to pick on anybody or I'm just saying the brainwashing is real, man. It's influence, peer pressure, societal pressure, whatever. So, yeah. Now I'm like, oh my gosh. Wish I was a lot more careful with some things, you know. Just some things. I've made the biggest mistakes. Man, I think back on all the things I've done wrong, and the only reason I did that thing or whatever was because of influence, societal influence, thinking that it was normal and okay when it wasn't. Nothing normal or okay about these things, but in society it is. It's normal. Like, everybody treats that like it's normal. It's like, what? No, there's nothing normal about that. And off the top of my head, I can't give you an example. Well, actually, I can. I think I talked about this in some time before, but I killed mice, and it's not a big deal, whatever, but I didn't have to kill mice, you know. They're pets. Some people have mice as pets, right? You know, they were a nuisance. They were eating up our food. They were, you know, it was weird. I didn't have to kill them, though. Didn't have to kill them. So it's a small, like, and society would tell me that's normal to just kill these little creatures because they want to eat food. That's not normal. That's not, to me, that's not okay. All right, you know, you can call it normal and whatever, but it's not normal to me anymore. You know, there's a lot of things I think back to, and I'm like, oh man, I did so many things that were dumb because I thought it was normal, because everybody else said, yeah, this is what you do, this is how you handle this is how, you know, whatever, and it's all wrong. Yeah. So anyways, the age difference thing has been weird. I forgot, that was actually the main reason I wanted to start sharing some thoughts and whatever. Is I've had many friends at different ages, and it is weird. It's been awkward. I even talked to people who I considered friends because I'd gotten to know them. You know, it wasn't like we just met and they were like, oh hey. No, we talked for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You know, and the only reason was because we had that connection through video games. You know, Twitch and whatever. And they were just a regular person that I was talking to. You know, it wasn't, the age didn't matter. We, you know, right? You know what I mean? Like, it was just whatever, just hanging out and having fun with this thing and whatever. But I do, especially now, I know a lot of the conversations that I had would go differently with my current state of mind and realizations and whatever. Because I treated them like they were adults. That was the thing, and not like I wasn't like. To me, there it used to be to me in my state of mind that there was no difference between an adult and a child because we're just people. And in my experience, like I said, like a lot of times kids are smarter than adults, but only in certain areas, right? There's a lot of things they lack experience and they lack wisdom. They lack, just the years that give you these different bits and pieces and stuff. But yeah, so I used to just think of them as people, whatever. Especially because we could hold regular conversations and you could never know their age and until if the conversation were to shift and be like, oh, wait a second, right? But most of the time, you wouldn't really know unless you get deeper into like different topics and stuff, which I never really did. It was always video game stuff for the most part. Trying to think of it, yeah, that was always my thing. Other than it was like if they would ask you personal questions, about where do you live and that kind of a thing, whatever. But yeah, now I'm like now I'm like, all right, I get it now. I'm the one guy who told me that my Discord was not moderated enough, and he put it in different words. I don't remember exactly how I put it, but he's like, man, you've got this content on here that kids should not be seeing. And I was like, what? I remember thinking this too, like, what kids are you talking about? Like, we're all adults here, like because we were all around the same ish age, whatever, except for maybe like 2 people or whatever. And I just wasn't thinking about if maybe like a child ended up in there and whatever. It's dumb. I was dumb. I was wrong. I should have been more aware of that. I should have been more prepared for that. So I regret that, and it's not a big deal. Well, I don't know. I don't know what kind of influence might happen from certain content being shown to kids that might not have, should not have seen it. Yeah, it's weird. And also I've for the what like 3 there's like 2 people. Yeah, 2 people that I can think of off the top of my head that were really young that I got close with just from time. Just from time. Chatting with them for 4 or so years and stuff. That I did consider them a friend. Because I didn't know them like super well, but I knew them well enough to like them as a person, as a human being. I thought they were cool and stuff. Yeah, so I never really became friends with many children. Is all I'm saying, like right. But I do remember there here and there when I would chat with some younger people, it was awkward, especially the way they spoke. Sometimes their age would show. Sometimes you'd be like, oh, I don't even like what you're saying is weird. This is we should not be having this conversation. Happened a couple of times, and it wasn't like anything. It was just I can't remember what it was. You could just tell they were younger. uh, and be like, "Whoa, like, well, all right." And I would tell him, I would be like, "It's just this isn't a conversation that's gonna go further because we're on 2 different wavelengths. That like it's not the same. I don't know how to explain that. Other than it's just 2 different wavelengths. Is that mentality, that state of mentality? Because a younger person is not going to be on the same level as an older person in certain topics and whatever, right? Like, yeah, we can talk about video games all day long, and we'll probably be on the same level. Get into other stuff, and it can be a little awkward. Trying to think, like, just regular normal things, like I would talk about like doing grocery shopping, for example, or just basic regular adult responsibility crap, you know. And then that would be where you could tell that there was a difference in age. Sometimes it's just when you talk about certain things like that, like the way they would talk about it, they didn't know what it was like as the adult to do that, you know. Whatever, anyways. But yeah, so it's been I just regret not treating them like the age that they are, because I saw them as just people, you know. Like I think that part's cool because they are, you know. That's why it was easy to treat them like just another human being. But I don't know what kind of influence I might have put on them while treating them like just a regular another adult person type, you know. Should have been different with that. So it's just weird. Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like sharing some thoughts on that. There is some recent drama going on. It didn't make me want to talk about this. I've had this in my mind for like a year or two. And it's not like super deeply important to me. I've wanted to share some thoughts, but I wanted to get more thoughts together, and I don't think about it enough, like deep on a deep level. I have regrets. I know I've made mistakes. I know where I went wrong, you know, here and there, but nothing super deep or anything. But I made mistakes with younger people, and I just regret that. That's all. The past few years have really made me look back on a lot of things and realize so many places I went wrong. You know, I just with my mom, the way I treated my mom, lots of different little things throughout my life, completely unrelated to like Twitch and video, just regular life stuff that I'm like, oh man. But my mom's the biggest one. It's one of those ones I think back to all the time. About people will tell you your whole life, don't mistreat your parents because one day they're gonna die and you're gonna regret treating them bad, you know. But when you're in the moment, you know, I've thought about that before too. I would get mad at my mom, you know, but I always, the one thing about it was like I always knew I loved her no matter what. I always knew she loved me. We got angry at each other, screamed at each other, yelled at each other, you know. And I know that we still loved each other, you know what I mean? Like I know that. Um, but I still regret having been bad to her. You know, I still regret that. You know, so that's just one of those things, you know, that I've thought back to on how many mistakes I've made in my life without realizing it. So many choices that I made that were based on what I was seen as normal. Just that's what I was talking about. Like the whole lead by example thing makes sense, because even if you don't want to influence people, you passively are going to, and that makes things really hard, especially now. Makes I don't want to be an influence, man. Like, well, I guess I'd rather be than the wackadoos going on out here, but I never wanted to be though. So I was never trying to be. Like I said, I was just speaking my mind, you know. But now I'm like, oh crap. I hope the kids that I might have influenced are okay. I hope the kids are all right, you know. Um, yeah, that's weird and messed up. But anyways, I'm gonna go now, and I might try to think up like more. Like this is it's just been like a casual thought kind of a thing that I have here and there. It's like I said, never been too deep. I know I've made mistakes and have regrets and stuff, but it's never. It's not like I don't know. I don't know. It's just casual kind of talk about this thing, kind of a thing, you know. Anyways, if you leave a comment or whatever, if you have any thoughts, let me know, and that might help me make a better video than this one. Okay, if I get a response with some thoughts that give me something to work off of, I will talk to you later. Remember, the Mandela effect is real. Trust your memories. Talk to you later. Bye.